Welcome back, Miami Heat three-point shooting game, right? Where they shot like 48% from three, which is absolutely nuts. Some of those were contested. A lot of those were wide open looks. And I'm going to basically just show you guys these plays and break them down like I did on the last video. So let's jump right back into it. So the very first play, I'm at 9:20-ish mark in the first quarter, right? We see Michael Porter Jr., he's on Gabe Vincent. We see KCP on Max Strus. Bam Adebayo obviously being covered by Nikola Jokic. We have Jamal Murray, right? Kind of showing inside for the Kevin Love cut. And Aaron Gordon, right? So pretty standard, right? Some man coverage, right? Nothing too complicated here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play on the video. At this point, right, this is where the first of many mistakes is going to occur for these Nuggets. And they're just, it's not like, you know, I have a lot of Heat friends, and a lot of them are just, you know, talking about the brilliance and, oh my God, you know, the offense is so complex. And yes and no, right? Like, yes, Erik Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the league. He's one of the best coaches of all time. He makes incredible adjustments. Obviously, in this game, we saw him start with Kevin Love and obviously over Caleb Martin. But I will say, on a lot of these actions, they're very simple actions, and the Nuggets just collapsing, right? Just not communicating properly, not executing, not being disciplined on a lot of these plays. So here we see the very first one of those mistakes. Max Strus sets a ghost screen, right? And immediately cuts over to the corner, right? KCP is about to make a massive mistake, right? Because he decides to stay on Gabe Vincent with Michael Porter Jr., and you're going to see what happens next. A wide open three, right? And that is just, I mean, those are the kind of mistakes that you cannot make in these games. It's just, you're leaving one of the Heat's best three-point shooters wide open. Not only are you leaving him open, you're leaving him open in the corner. You know, and that's just, that mistake happens so many times in this game on very similar plays. And I'm going to be showing them. So let's go to the next one. So the first quarter, 5:35 mark, right? We see Aaron Gordon on Jimmy Butler, right? We're seeing basically, it's pretty standard, right? It's still man-to-man, right? Nothing crazy, nothing complicated. And right away, we're going to see Max Strus. He's going to come over to set a screen, right, on Aaron Gordon, right? We've seen it happen a lot in game one, and obviously we're seeing it happen a lot in this game as well. So here comes Max Strus, right? It's another ghost screen, right? So very similar to the last ghost screen that Max Strus set. And he's going to cut immediately to the corner, right? And Aaron Gordon in this play should be chasing Max Strus, but instead he stays an extra second, right, before he just realizes that Max Strus is going to be wide open, right? He got to a late contest as I stopped the video right here, but for a guy like Max Strus, this is wide open, right? This is just as good of a look as he's going to get, and he's fine with these kind of looks, right? Like, he's a great shooter, right? A very streaky one, right? But he's definitely shown that he can make some tough shots, and this is not a tough shot by any means. Not for Max Strus. Free open three, right? Just another one of those very similar mistakes, right? And a simple switch, right? I'm going to show this next play right here. This is, in my opinion, just a lack of trust, right, within the Nuggets defensively. And I say that with a lot of respect because this team does trust each other, right? In terms of, you know, they share the ball, they get each other involved. And when it comes to the defensive side for this team so far, in these last two games, the lack of discipline and the lack of trust for guys holding their own is what's really hurt them on that end, okay? Now, when Jimmy Butler has this possession, right, he's got some isolation here on Aaron Gordon. He's going to kick it back out, right, kind of to just reset the play. Caleb Martin catches it, right, but he's going to give it right back, okay? So we get a little relocation by Jimmy, right? Officially, it's an isolation play all over again, right? And you're going to see KCP signal over to the rest of his defense that Caleb Martin's going to be open, right? He's just going to be left alone, right? He kind of signals him off, right? Michael Porter Jr. is also signaling, right, that there's an open top of the key three for Max Strus, right? But KCP is so concerned about helping Aaron Gordon with Jimmy Butler that he just caused the chaos for the Nuggets. He caused that breakdown, right? Just by him not trusting Aaron Gordon, right? There's 5 seconds left on the clock right now as I have this frozen. That's a lot of time for offense, right? But when you're on an island, not a lot of moves you can make within those 5 seconds if you're a Jimmy Butler, right? This isn't a guy that's going to cross you over or do anything crazy like that, right? He's going to probably back you down, right? Maybe some hesitation moves, nothing too crazy that you can't put a body on in one-on-one, right? And Aaron Gordon's got good size. He has good feet. He has good height. You know, he's very strong. So if I'm KCP, I'm just letting this ride, right? Like, there's no reason to overcommit like this, in my opinion, right? He finds Max Strus, and as I pause it right here, Max Strus just looks super shot ready. He started off this game so hot that you can't give these looks. He's a little deep, right, out there on the three-point line, but again, he already started off hot, and this late contest is not good enough against Max Strus when he gets it going. Another late contest, and he cashes that. It's another three for the Heat, right? 24-15 in this first quarter, right? The Nuggets end up obviously coming back. They take a big lead as well throughout the game, but, you know, it's the defense, right? It's the mistakes that they made over and over and over again on very similar plays and some other really bad mistakes, specifically by KCP. So I'm going to start again here. It's about 4:54, right? Second quarter. Nuggets have a pretty big lead, right? This is a very comfortable lead. And here comes Bam, right? Typical screen we're going to see from Bam and Jimmy, right? Like this little action, this little two-man game, because Jimmy's trying to get the drop coverage Jokic, right? So he can get a nice little pop-up shot in the mid-range area, right? Or maybe even a three, right? If Jokic gives him that much space. So Christian Brown, right, gets screened, very good screen. Bam just setting great screens all throughout these playoffs and really throughout his whole career. That's just a big strength of his, right? Obviously, Christian Brown fights through, right? He finally catches up to Jimmy, but Jokic has to kind of still stay because obviously he has to show to help Christian Brown recover, right? Now, at this point, okay, Jeff Green comes over to help, right? Bam Adebayo could receive a pass from Jimmy in this situation, and Jeff Green's aware of that, okay? But because Jeff Green came to help, it leaves KCP in a difficult situation, right? He's got Max Strus in the corner, and he's also got Kevin Love, right, on the wing. So this is a difficult situation, and Jimmy now has a couple of options to make, right? Jimmy keeps his dribble alive for just an extra dribble, and then he whips it out to the corner to Max Strus, right? And because KCP is trying to kind of contest that pass, right, kind of block off that passing lane to the corner, obviously Jeff Green showed to help. I think there's just too much help going on here, especially with how hot the Heat started shooting from three. This can't happen, right? Now, at this point, we already know who's getting it, right? It's another swing to Kevin Love. Jeff Green closes out way too hard, right? Like, you're already late to this play, right? You need to stand your ground, right? He closed out and he jumps, right? Kevin Love pumps him out of this play, and he gets a free three-pointer, right? Another free one. If you're Jeff Green, right, I know it's easier said than done, I understand, but there's a lot of time left on that clock, right? And Jeff Green jumps, you're out of that play, right? If you jump, you're out of there, right? And more things can happen because there's plenty of time left. So your best bet is, hey, you're already late to your rotation. Close out as best as you can, but keep your feet on the ground, right? The moment you jump, you're done. You're done. And that's exactly what happened, right? Just another little mishap, right? Good ball movement, right? Good, obviously good attention, right? By Jimmy, just good awareness, right? But the Nuggets should already be aware of this. In most of the plays where Jimmy's gotten under the rim or anywhere near there, he's been kicking it out over and over again. So the overcommitment by the Nuggets is kind of head-scratching, right? Especially, like I said, the threes that were given earlier. I'm going to move on right? Keep this going. Okay, so 4-minute mark, right, in the second quarter. Okay, now I'm just going to let this play ride so you guys can just kind of see, because a lot's kind of going on here, but it's just the massive mistake by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, right? KCP, long name. So just a lot going on, right? A lot going on, and I'm highlighting where Pope is so you can keep track of him, right? I'm going to pause it right here. Okay, right on the swing out to Max Strus. And you guys probably already know what's going to happen here, where I paused it. And obviously Max Strus is getting ready to either pump fake or just pull that shot up, right? He loses the ball on that pickup, right? So KCP immediately pressures him. I mean, he's got to pressure him regardless because there's no time left on this clock, right? I mean, I don't know what else to tell you other than just watch, right? I mean, you foul Max Strus on an insanely tough look, and he has the balls to tell the ref or ask the ref where the foul was. Look how obvious this foul was. He hits his wrist, right? Like, or his arm rather. I mean, that's so obvious. It's such a bad foul. You just turned a 33% three-point shooter in the playoffs, I believe that's what his percentage is right now, into an 82% career free throw shooter, right? So that's 3 free throws that you just gave up, plus a bad foul, obviously. You know, just those little mistakes that the Nuggets are making over and over again, they add up and they add up. And then when you make the big ones, it's just, you're digging yourself into a massive hole, right? And luckily for these Nuggets, they took such a nice lead that when they made these mistakes, they were still up, right? So by all these mistakes, they're still up 5. All right, so here we have, it's the third quarter, 10:57, right? We're going to see, obviously, Jimmy Butler on Aaron Gordon. We saw a lot of this. This is clearly an isolation play, right? As we watch Kevin Love kind of leak out, right? He's kind of giving him some space, right? Now, I have the spotlight on Jimmy as well, so you can watch him signal Bam Adebayo to come over to set a screen, right? He knows that Bam's man is Jokic, obviously. They're trying, again, to get Jokic into these actions, right? So here comes Jokic, right? And not only Jokic, right? So this is where the mistake is made. And it's not by Jokic and it's not by Aaron Gordon. It's by Jamal Murray, right? Like, he cheats over. Very hard, by the way, okay? So instead of trusting the 2-on-2 game, really, that was that isolation play, right? It's Bam, it's Jokic, it's Aaron Gordon, and it's Jimmy, right? We know what's going to happen. Bam's going to screen Aaron Gordon. Jimmy's going to try to find an opportunity to pull up on Jokic dropping, right? Jokic has to just do his best, right? And instead of trusting it, Jamal Murray comes over, leaves Strus open, and Jimmy does what Jimmy's done this entire time. Kicks it back out to his teammate, and now Jamal Murray's closing out very hard and just with poor use of angles, right? Because he's closing out so straight on that it's just an easy attack on Jamal Murray's left foot, right? So that's exactly what Strus is going to do, right? He attacks the left foot, gets right by Murray, which forces Jokic to help, right? And it doesn't take a genius to know what's most likely going to come next, right? The dump off pass to Bam, and that's a free layup. 2 points, right? Not a 3-pointer, right? Given up by the Nuggets, but just their concerns, their lack of trust, right? For guys to stand their ground. That's giving up points in this series as well. You know, you just got to let some things happen, right? You can't just overhelp sometimes. You know, because if you overhelp, you're going to give up easier baskets, right? Jimmy hasn't been as aggressive, right? Like he hasn't been really mismatch hunting so much, right? He's been kind of doing the same thing, right? He was a little bit better this game, obviously. But again, he's looking for his teammates, right? He said it in his presser after game 1. And you know that's not going to change, right? Like, obviously he's going to take what the defense gives him. You know, you got to kind of challenge Jimmy. You know, when he hasn't put up so many shots, just see what he's got, right? Let's get into the next play. So 10:20 mark, third quarter, Nuggets are still up, right? They're still up, but the Heat are chipping away, right? They're chipping away little by little. Okay. Now, this was a really good action by the Miami Heat. This is one where I will give credit to just smart use of your personnel. It's a very intelligent action, especially with how bad the communication's been on the Nuggets, right? So right here we see Gabe Vincent with the ball, right? We're looking at Max Strus and Kevin Love. These guys are going to sandwich KCP, right? Just a double screen action, right? So I'm going to play it so you can see. I'm going to pause it right there, right? So we see both screens here, right? Both picks, okay? Gabe Vincent can either go right or left, right? It's pretty simple. Michael Porter Jr. shows up, right? So he's cutting off the right side, okay? If Gabe Vincent decides to use Kevin Love's pick, right? Michael Porter Jr. is right there, and that's fine. You know, Jokic is dropped on Bam Adebayo, obviously. Aaron Gordon's all the way in the corner on Jimmy Butler, okay? Now, Max Strus is setting the screen on the other side, right? And there's Jamal Murray ready for Gabe Vincent if he does decide to use the Strus pick and go left, right? So far, so good. This is fine, right? Keep playing it. Okay, now I pause it right here. Max Strus, right? He leaks out, okay? Now, this is where the problems come, okay? Max Strus leaks out. KCP finally, right, makes the right decision. He chases Max Strus, and this is where it just goes wrong, okay? Gabe Vincent picks up his dribble, which means he's either gonna have to shoot it or call a timeout or pass it off, right? Jamal Murray, just a second too late on Kevin Love's leak out, right? Kevin Love leaks out to the three-point line, and I mean, 6'8" Kevin Love with this kind of separation on like 6'4" Jamal Murray, that's what they call shooting over the chair. That's a free three, and it goes in. You know, little mistakes that are costing the Nuggets three-pointer after three-pointer. You know, it's just been that bad for them, you know. And let's go to the next play. 9:33, third quarter, right? Here comes the Bam screen on Aaron Gordon yet again, right? Surprise, surprise. Jimmy's just trying to get Jokic on him, right? So he can get that nice little mismatch for himself, right? So I'm going to hit play, right? Good screen, right? Really good screen. But Aaron Gordon fighting through, right? He's fighting through. Jimmy gets through. Michael Porter Jr., by the way, has officially just left his positioning, right? Just to kind of overhelp, right? Talked about the lack of trust defensively on those Jokic, Aaron Gordon actions, right? Where they're putting them in pick and rolls. Michael Porter Jr. is way too committed to this action, right? And I get it, you know? I get you guys want to help Jokic. I totally understand. But again, when you're doing this, look at KCP, 9:29 mark, right? Look at KCP. He's got to cover now a Gabe Vincent, kind of like wing three, and a Kevin Love corner three, right? And look at Michael Porter Jr. just in no man's land right now, right? And look at Jamal Murray. He's pointing at the Bam dump-off pass, right? Which is obviously an option here for sure. You know, Jimmy can totally make that pass, but obviously he doesn't, you know, and rightfully so. Look at this wide open three. All because Michael Porter Jr. could not just hold his ground on this side of the floor and just kind of let things happen on the other side, right? When you overhelp, the Heat are finding that. They're finding your mistakes. They're finding your missed rotations or your over rotations, and they're finding their open shooters every single time. It's a free Gabe Vincent three. Another one, right? And now the lead's 2 points. Right? So it's just the constant lack of awareness. You know, a lot of those are Michael Porter Jr., some of those are Jamal Murray, some of those are KCP, and you can't have that, right? 10-17 mark, right? Bam has the ball. Okay. Now, this is a really good misdirection play by the Heat. Okay. We're going to see it between Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson, and they run it 2 times in a row. And 2 times in a row, it worked. Now, this is where it goes wrong, right? Bam has the ball, obviously. Gabe Vincent, he's going to set a screen for Duncan Robinson. Okay, Duncan Robinson's going to curl. He's going to curl around that, and he's going to just 45 cut down the lane, right? Going to hit play on that. So he cuts down the lane, but look at this mistake by Bruce Brown and Christian Brown. They both commit to the Duncan Robinson 45 cut, right? Like the dive to the basket. That can't happen. That can't happen, you know? And, you know, Bruce Brown should have definitely stayed on Duncan Robinson, but Christian Brown just, you know, young player mistake. You know, young player mistake. Lack of communication. They leave Gabe Vincent open, and there it is. Another free three. Heat take the lead, right? 1 point lead right there. Let's go to the next play. All right. So here we are, right? Bam has the ball up top. Literally the same action between Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson. But this time, look what happens, right? Here comes the Gabe screen again. Duncan Robinson, 45 cut, right? But this time, Bruce Brown doesn't pick up. Not on time, at least, right? And that's the mistake right there, right? Christian Brown has to stay on Gabe Vincent, right? So Duncan Robinson just makes the same play, right? He curls, he cuts to the rim. This time there was no Bruce Brown commitment, and the Nuggets fall for it again, right? Not only that, they allow the bucket, right? The layup from Duncan Robinson. That is unacceptable, right? And a timeout was called by Michael Malone right away, just in disbelief of the mistake for the same action. So I just wanted to show, right? Like this was a great defensive game for the Heat. It was a great offensive game for the Heat. The Nuggets played fine on offense, right? They got another bad shooting night from Michael Porter Jr. They got kind of a no-show night from KCP. Jokic went off, right? Jamal Murray wasn't great offensively either, you know? So I really, you know, after a loss like this, it's such a close loss. The Nuggets, everyone's going to blame it on, oh my God, the Heat were so good offensively. That's part of the equation. But when you're also allowing so many open threes, and what really confuses me about game 2 for the Nuggets defensively was the fact that these were the same looks the Heat were getting in game 1, right? So I expected the defense to tighten up after game 1, right? So clearly they didn't adjust to, we got to communicate better, right? On those pick and rolls or whatever the issues were within that group, right? Whether it's lack of trust, whether it's just miscommunication, right? Whatever that was, it wasn't tightened up in game 2. And the offense didn't really show up from everyone on the Nuggets. I will say the Nuggets shot fine from 3, right? But again, you know, Michael Porter Jr., really bad game for him. KCP, not a good game for him. You know, you didn't really see a lot of Aaron Gordon post-ups. So I just wanted to show some of these plays that really costed the Nuggets down the stretch from beginning to end, right? There were way more plays that I could have shown, but I didn't want this video to get too long. So for me, I think that the Nuggets are going to take game 3. They're going to show some assertiveness, right? They're going to be more aggressive, but they're going to be more disciplined defensively, right? If the same looks are out there for the Heat in game 3, I don't know what's going to happen in this series, and the Heat are going to look like they're on the track to win a championship in this finals, especially if I see the same mistakes by the Nuggets, because that will let me know these guys just aren't disciplined, right? They're not disciplined defensively. So that's going to do it for this episode. This is the All Things Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always. I'll catch you guys on the next one.